There has been an unprecedented second attempt at Donald Trump's life. But instead of being concerned and empathetic for the presidential candidate, leftist media like MSNBC, CNN, and social media activists are using it as fodder to push their anti-Trump agenda. The first reaction of MSNBC when news came to hand about the attempted assassination was shockingly to blame Donald Trump in a huge show of gaslighting.
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted, and it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches, but then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment of unity for the country where we come together and we say, I don't want any political opposition to be under threat of violence. It's not okay, any threat of violence, we don't want. I would love for us to have a unity type moment, but I think it's probably going to be pretty fleeting, as we've seen in the past.
Sky News host James Morrow slammed this reaction, calling it appalling.
But what I do think is appalling is that some outlets, such as MSNBC in the U.S., have tried to somehow say that this is Trump's fault for his own rhetoric. And, this is just appalling here.
And commentators on X agreed, saying MSNBC radicalizes mass shooters and then blames Trump. These are demons in human form. And again on NBC News, host Lester Holt was slammed by commentators on X for blaming the assassination attempt on Trump's rhetoric about Springfield, Ohio during the presidential debate.
Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town. Our Maggie Vespa is in Columbus, Ohio, with more.
And over on CNN, commentator Patrick Bet-Davis slammed the network for its lackluster coverage of the second attempt on Trump in as many months.
It appears that around 2 o'clock, shots were fired at the golf course, possibly coming from the tree line while former President Trump was playing golf. The Secret Service identified the direction, and the shooter returned fire at that gunman who fled. Witnesses were able to provide a description of an individual and a vehicle. We are told that a vehicle that is close to that description has been stopped by Palm Beach County police, possibly in Martin County, just over the line, and that they are holding that individual for the purposes of identification.
The commentator said, "Are we becoming immune to assassination attempts on Trump? That's 2 attempts in 60 days. It's as if business is as usual." Daily Wire commentator Ben Shapiro agrees, saying the media is burying these assassination attempts.
Assassination attempt against the former president of the United States and Republican nominee for president in about 8 weeks, which is insane. Obviously, this is unprecedented in modern American history. This many attempts on a candidate for higher office this close together. And that does say something about the environment in which we now live. First of all, it says, does anyone even remember the first assassination attempt? I mean, those of us who are on the right do, because it's become sort of an iconic video and photo, President Trump nearly being hit in the head by a bullet, somebody behind him being killed, him getting up and shaking his fist and saying, fight. That became an iconic photo of President Trump. But it's been largely memory hold by the media. In the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, it was not even mentioned once by the moderators anytime in that debate. It's basically been treated as though it never happened. Now, we all know that if somebody had attempted to shoot Joe Biden in the head, that would have been not only the biggest story in America that day, but for all the other days, because January 6th has now lasted for 4 long years. If somebody had actually come within millimeters of killing President Biden, then presumably that would have been the biggest story in America for months on end. It would have deeply and dramatically shaped the 2024 election. The same thing holds true if, God forbid, somebody had attempted to shoot, say, Kamala Harris. This would be the second time in 8 weeks that somebody tried to shoot Donald Trump. And again, this will be buried by Wednesday. How long do you think this story is actually going to last? Now,
and it's not only TV networks spurting this bizarre reaction to Trump's assassination attempt. Social media activists have also come out of the woodwork to downplay the near catastrophe.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't hearing pew pew fire in the red state of Florida as common as hearing birds sing? I'm sure it wasn't personal. Please don't flatter yourself.
And a close relative of a Democratic nominee also attempted to make light of the very serious situation, saying, "No ears were harmed, carry on with your Sunday afternoon." Australian Senator Holly Hughes has also called out the Democrats for their contribution to creating a toxic environment against Donald Trump, leading to threats of violence.
Just reckless rhetoric coming from the Democrats referring to President Trump as Hitler, as a danger to democracy. And it's always, it'd be interesting to see after the first assassination attempt, we did see that rhetoric toned down, and of course it's dialed back up again, whether or not there will be a shift, because as Matt says, there's a lot of tension over there at the moment, and that's got to be in some way attempted to be taken out of it. And some of this rhetoric that's being used, people that are unstable or people that have very extreme views, can see this as taking it into their own hands, and that's a very, very dangerous state of affairs.
Social media platforms have also been criticised for their role in this, with commentators on X exposing Facebook for swiftly taking down the profile of the alleged Trump assassin.